sinners and saviors, we the free. We are your concentration. We are your consternation. We the free. Yeah, yeah. We the free. And we the free. Don't tell me that you see the way we see. We are your outcast babies. We are your don't knows and maybes. We are your nightmares. We are your double dares. We are what makes you scream. We the free. Yeah, yeah. And we the free. And we the free. Don't tell me that you speak the way we speak. We are your trepidation. We range from nation to nation. We are the changing guard. We are the lightning rod. We are love as it's meant to be. And we the free. And we the free. Don't tell me that you see the way we see. We the free. And we the free. We are the free. We are the free. We are the free.
Welcome to the Muddied Waters of Freedom with your hosts, Matt Wright and Mohammed Shaker.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Stop messing with that. Jesus, I'm going to have to move everything around again. For Muhammad, I act like a 4-year-old shaker. I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom on a very wet and rainy Sunday afternoon here in Western Florida.
Western Florida?
Western Florida.
We are in Western Florida.
Uh-huh. I mean,
I don't know what the fuck's wrong with me right now.
I don't either. I don't know what's going on with my computer.
It's the kratom.
It's the kratom. Well, first and foremost, let us thank Low Tide Kava Bar. Who's there right now? Who got us our stuff today?
It was Jay.
Jay got us our stuff today. Thank you, Jay. Jay, did you know Jay has a podcast?
Yes, it's a talk show similar to ours called Movie Quest.
Is it called Movie Quest?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I thought it was called Strangely Irregular.
Yeah, they have two names. I know they call it Movie Quest, and I know they call it that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they watch crappy movies and then they review them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was a movie that I hadn't seen or heard of before called Thanksgiving.
Okay. Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's retarded.
Well, yeah. I mean, all the movies that they do are just awful,
Yeah.
awful movies. Anyway, thanks to Jay. Thanks to Low Tide Kava Bar for the kava. Boo.
Bula.
So tasty.
Mm-hmm.
So tasty. So, how was you worked at Low Tide a few times this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once.
Once?
It was fun.
Well, that's good.
Worked with Monica.
Yes, you did. I was there for most of that night. Actually, I think I was there longer than you.
No.
Yeah, because I got there long before you did.
The night I worked,
Yeah.
I closed.
I know. And I was there to close.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. I left at 1:55, which is close enough to closing it down. Yep.
We can ask Monica about this because I was the last person with her out at 3:30.
Right. Well,
Those-
I was there until the bar closed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I was there so much longer than you because I showed up at like 8:30.
Oh, okay. I see what you were saying. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Drank kava, drank kratom. It's what I did last night.
That's what I did last night too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been significantly cutting down on my kava because it's been making me feel lethargic.
I get that.
That's why 2 shows now I've been drinking kratom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bula, Ben. But yeah, we got a few topics to talk about today.
We do have a few topics to talk about today.
I started watching Breaking Bad. Great show so far.
Right.
It's about time.
It is about time.
I messaged our friend Skylar. I was like, hey, there's a Skylar in this show. She was like, where you been for the last 10 years?
Yeah. When that show first, I didn't start watching that show until like season 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But like as soon as I started watching it, I went as Jesse Pinkman for Halloween every year.
Oh, really?
And all I did was go around and be, science, bitch! Yo, Mr. White.
Yeah.
That was all I did all night long.
Yeah.
I would go, at work, they would let you dress up, and people would be dressed up in actual costumes, and I would have, like, this shirt that was way too big on me and a pair of jeans that was way too big on me, and I would just call everybody bitch. And one of my managers was like, I don't think this counts. And I'm like, I'm Jesse Pinkman, bitch. And she was like, I mean, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm Jesse Pinkman, bitch.
My friend Nicholas says talk about anything but dumb libertarian drama. It's a capital L, and I don't think we will.
Okay.
They're bringing that onto themselves. So.
They are, yeah. They're bringing all of that onto themselves.
Yeah.
Like you need to police your own. And if you've got somebody in your party saying something stupid,
We've talked about the Libertarian Party bullshit for too much now.
I know it's insane.
It's kind of boring now.
It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, if your vice chair keeps saying stupid shit, get rid of your vice chair.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And then there are people in the Libertarian Party saying stuff like, "Well, Arvin Vohra is the most anarchist member of the board and all that." I'm like, I'm a very anarchist, but the shit he says is completely stupid, unnecessary, and not even what we need to be talking about if your mission is to bring more people in.
right.
Like.
Yeah, I'd prefer. Yeah, I mean, part of the reason that I left the Libertarian Party was because I got tired of having to defend the stupid stuff coming out of his fingertips. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's mainly what he types.
Yeah.
And I just, I don't want to have to defend that. I don't want to
Yeah.
waste my time being like, oh, well, yeah, no, we don't all agree with that moron. So,
And of course, it's not everybody in the Libertarian Party.
No.
Like, there are many great
But-
individuals in the Libertarian Party and on the board. But specifically, all the drama that's been happening really comes down to a few individuals, and I'm not going to say it's representative of the whole party, but it's representative of the ineffectiveness of the Libertarian Party in messaging and policing themselves.
right. So you're right. No, I don't want to talk about that, even though we did. But yeah, like, no, screw that. I'm not wasting my time on it. That's why I left. I left so I didn't have to waste my time talking about their idiotic statements. That
Yeah. And when I always make fun of it, and I always say stuff like, I hope Vora keeps doing this, and if you guys don't like the Libertarian Party, come to the Republican Liberty Caucus. You can be a libertarian over here. And that is two things. Maybe bring more people in to the Republican Party Liberty Caucus.
Right.
And two, if somebody cares enough, they might be like, hey, Muhammad's right. Maybe we should police this up so people don't leave the
So people
Libertarian
don't leave
Party
the Libertarian
and go to
Party,
the... So,
yeah.
like, maybe you're giving Muhammad a reason to say something like this. But no, all I get is people in the Libertarian Party that, internet libertarians, which really I am too, to an extent.
That's all of us are.
Yeah. But, they're like, oh, well, instead of leaving it, why don't you stay and fix it? And I'm like... and everybody says that. Everybody says that. I'm like, why me? Like, all of you keep saying this, and you're saying it, so aren't you fixing it?
Right. Yeah, I mean, people would say that when I left the LPF, I got a couple people messaging me, and they were like, hey, why aren't you staying to fix it? Like, you can fix this. Like, you can help us vote in the way that blah, blah, blah. And I hate to do the, like, I'm one guy thing that, people always argue, especially in election time, because it's like, oh, I'm just one guy. What's my vote going to matter? Blah, blah, blah. Right. But I mean, it's not so much as like, I do want to see it change, but I also don't want to be associated with it while it's in a state of disrepair.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, like I don't see it being fixed anytime soon, so I'm not going to associate myself with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If one of your friends is a drug dealing pedophile rapist, you don't say, oh, well, I'm just going to try to fix him. No, you get away from that guy. Like, you don't want to be a part of that.
Well, hold on.
I mean, if you come out and say that
I think you should try to help fix him.
I think that you should, but I mean...
But if he doesn't want to, which is what Arvin doesn't want to...
Right, which is what the party doesn't want.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna try to bash, I'm not gonna try to be like, hey, all this needs to be fixed, and I'm gonna stay until it is. So, no, screw that. No,
yeah.
I'm out.
Well, no, because I mean that is what's happening is people are always telling him and Nicholas and other people about the problems, and he just goes to doubling down on what he says, and he has no interest in listening to what people are saying.
No.
Because even if what he's saying is valid, it's not what people want to hear right now.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, it's just the guy has made...
And I don't think it's valid anyway.
Yeah. Well, the guy... I don't know if it's valid or not. It's one of the least important things to the topic of liberty.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't know if it's valid or not. That's all I'm saying about it. But, he's made comments about the people in the military, law enforcement officers, stuff like that. He's made stupid comments about people that just work for the government.
Yeah.
And, which is stupid. Like, I'm an anarchist that wants to get rid of all the government and privatize every single thing ever. But I don't think the government and people that work in the government are evil people. And I don't think their intentions are evil. They're just like everybody else. They are doing whatever they can to do what's good for themselves, their families, and their communities. And that's what ends up hurting other people with that power that they have. But Arvin does not get that.
Arvin does not get that.
Anyways, we've talked a little bit too much about that.
I was going to say, especially since we were asked not to. So, yeah, starting out, since you happen... What is that you're drinking again?
Kratom.
Kratom. Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kratom. Never heard of it. So, as anybody who watches us know, we are very strong advocates for kratom. And we drink it pretty often.
Yeah.
Pretty regularly. And we talk about it even more regularly, it seems like sometimes. But especially this time of year, because this is the time of year that states everywhere begin doing their push for new bills and new laws. And
Yeah.
this time of year is when somewhere, some state is like, yeah, we're gonna ban kratom, and all of a sudden, you know, like everybody who thinks kratom should be legal, because it should be, everybody who thinks kratom should be legal begins talking about it. So it is that time of the year again where we get to do this. So we, I have a vested interest in Tennessee because I love that state. It's an amazing state. And up until kratom has been illegal there for as long as I've known about it. But the reasoning behind it being legal was when they wrote the law, they had written in that it was a synthetic drug. That it was a synthetic drug, and they said that synthetic drugs such as kratom or metrogenine speciosa are banned in the state.
Yeah.
So this past year, a gentleman in the Davidson County area, Nashville, got caught selling 5 pounds of kratom.
5 pounds.
5 pounds. And he got off because it wasn't a synthetic and it was natural.
Thank God.
I know. So a couple of weeks ago, the Attorney General of Tennessee came out and said, hey, we will not prosecute if you have natural kratom. If you are in possession of natural kratom. To which kratom advocates across the country rejoice because, yes, finally, that makes sense. Let's get rid of these man-made chemical-induced fake effects as opposed to we can actually have the real thing.
Yeah.
Until this week, in which a man by the name of David B. Hawk out of Greene County in Tennessee wrote a bill to ban kratom in the state of Tennessee. The natural version.
Representative or senator?
Representative.
Wow.
Representative. So, if you are in the state of Tennessee,
which you have friends in Tennessee,
which I do have, which I do have friends in Tennessee. If you're in the state of Tennessee, please call your representatives and tell them to not support HB 1832.
Yeah. Especially since it's probably going to go to subcommittee as usual.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
call those people definitely first.
Right. So it's still waiting on a companion bill. It's still waiting on a companion bill for the Senate, and then it's got to go through committees and all that. But I will be constantly updating people on the kratom situation in Tennessee, on who to call and what to do and all that sort of stuff. Also, Tennessee people, I'm going to be up there next week. So hopefully I see many of you.
Over the weekend?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I'm leaving the day after the Super Bowl, and I'll be back before the weekend.
Cool.
So we will still be doing a show next week.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the kratom thing goes, guys, keep in touch with us, and I will definitely be letting you know who to call and who to annoy in the most positive of ways. So that the Tennessee can finally experience kratom.
And if you have questions about kratom itself, you can ask us about that too.
Yes.
So you can properly educate people on it, so you don't use wrong language or wrong facts that are not facts. Just so you don't accidentally hurt the cause when it comes to ensuring that people have the access to kratom.
No alternative facts.
Yeah.
When it comes to the kratom. So anyway, I've got an article that I'm going to be putting out on the Tennessee kratom situation. Okay, so this is also really fun. I'm just going to talk about this too. Tennessee has the second highest amount of people who are addicted to opiate prescribed drugs in the country. Second to West Virginia, right? Tennessee is also currently in a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit against 3 or 4 big pharma companies for creating this scenario. And then, even though they're suing big pharma for their addiction issues, they are working on currently banning kratom, which could essentially, potentially, according to studies out of Ole Miss, help their addiction problems. Like, it makes zero sense on why they would be going about it the way that they are.
Yeah. Good. You see, and I'm sure we all have friends here locally that are my friend. So like,
you have friends here locally,
right?
What's that like?
Bull on the Beach had their anniversary about 3 weeks ago, I think, and Michael Fitro kind of talked a little bit during the anniversary party and hangout, and like he was saying, we have a good amount of friends, and not just friends, just people in the Kava community that have opiate addictions, and they've been treating themselves is what we're going to say. They've been treating themselves and have weaned completely off of opiates because of kratom.
Yeah, I've got anecdotal story after anecdotal story.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen it.
Yeah. And so if it works, it works. You know, like I have a third or a quarter of my 18 ounce left. You know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this drink.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But you know what there is something wrong with?
What?
Tariffs.
Yes, there are.
Yes. And you're I mean, this is your wheelhouse much more than mine. But the recent, was that this week or last week?
This week.
This week, Donald Trump put a 30% tariff on solar panels made outside of the U.S.
Yeah, solar panels and washing machines.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
People forget about the washing machines.
Right, yeah. Because everybody's like, oh, he's fighting green energy because ExxonMobil.
Yeah. And Trump put a 30% tariff on washing machines and solar panels. I think it's panels and things that go into solar technology that get made outside this country. And this was the one of the times when people on the right were absolutely wrong. And by people on the right, I mean like definitely conservatives, not libertarians, because we're smarter than the conservatives when it comes to economics.
I agree with that. I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong.
I'm not always so blunt about stuff like that.
Right.
Whatever.
But anybody, okay, so a lot of conservatives who are, they're excited about this tariff.
They're definitely, okay, like conservatives, you're definitely better than liberals.
Well,
and better than socialists and a lot better than communists.
Right. Right, but they are, they were all like super excited about the tax cuts.
Yeah,
which they should be. Yeah. Because, tax cuts are good.
Yeah, corporate tax cuts.
Right. All about it. And then, okay, well, we're going to put this 30% tariff, which totally isn't a tax on the American people, which it totally is a tax on the American people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally not a tax on the American people. We're going to put this tariff on these products in order to help bolster these products being made here in the States. And it's like, no. If we don't make them well enough that we can't keep up with the prices that the other countries are selling them for, we don't need to add these tariffs in order to protect our own nation.
Yeah, and here's the first problem, and you're a smart guy. You're not doing this unironically, but there's no we, countries. So countries don't trade with each other. People do. And people don't seem to understand that. There's no we. There's no our companies. There are companies that are owned by people, individuals that are not in any way, shape, or form tied to you or any other industry or any other corporation or any other company. That's the first problem that people always make when talking about this stuff is we, our country, our, we, blah, blah, blah. And there's fucking none of that shit. There's no we. There are individuals that own solar companies and that make solar equipment here in the United States. Their equipment happens to be more expensive than what gets made overseas, more expensive than what gets imported. And it's like I need to do a whole episode on just economics. But
That'll be so exciting for me.
So, legitimately, one of the first things you learn in macro and microeconomics, which is, really the basis of all economic fields and schools of thought, including like Keynesianism, even socialism, like all of that stuff. All of these economic systems always understand, well, not as well as Austrian economists, that scarcity is a thing. And you learn about this in your first chapter in economics, scarcity. What is scarcity? Everybody knows what scarcity is, but scarcity is the lack of stuff and things and people. Scarcity applies to everything. Scarcity applies to land.
It's like food in my fridge.
Yeah. Yep. Scarcity applies to land. Scarcity applies to machines. Scarcity applies to robots. Scarcity applies to humans, human labor, and human capital, as in like skills, and knowledge and entrepreneurship and everything that makes a person a successful person in the market in whatever field that they're engaging in. All of these things are scarce. There are not enough people to do everything.
In Andrew, our good friend Andrew Heaton's book, because that's what I'm calling him now. Our good friend Andrew Heaton's book, Laughter is Better Than Communism. He's got a chapter where he's describing scarcity and why free trade is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, Japan makes really great robots.
Uh-huh.
And in America, they make okay robots.
Yeah.
But in America, we make really good Scud missiles. And
Yes.
and in Japan, they make okay Scud missiles.
Yeah.
So why would you put the tariff on the robots when they're just going to put the tariff on the Scud missile?
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's just going to end up with a lower quality of what it is that they're best at making.
Exactly. So a few chapters into your economics books, once you start taking your economics classes after listening to my beautiful lecture today, or you can just talk to me about it. Because I know a little bit. I don't know a lot.
The economics book may be more entertaining.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a boring ass person. But I think everybody should take the basic economics classes. The shitty thing about economics is they can definitely be boring. They're not to me, just because I fucking love the topic. And honestly, the big thing is it's up to professors to make the topic engaging and fun. And if a professor can't do that, that's his fault. But there are plenty of professors that can make it fun. So later on, a few chapters after that, maybe like the second chapter even, or third, we talk about something called comparative advantage and specialization and trade. And, a comparative advantage is an advantage that in the book it says country, which we can actually use that one here. When a country just based off of its economic level, technological level, so industrialization levels, all of that. A country that is good at everything, or that can do everything, is still really good at doing one thing. And they give a few examples in the book of specialization in trade, where let's talk about kava and kratom, for example. Matt and I have separate kava bars. Okay, this is not how it works in real life, but it's a good example on a larger scale.
So let's say you have low tide and I have grassroots.
Okay, yeah. So, and we're the only two people there. So I can make, I can make and serve out 15 shells of kava in an hour.
I think we've done this on our show before.
No.
I 100% think we've done this on our show before.
No, you heard me talk about it last week. I was because I was talking to Nick Lanigan about it.
I still think we've done this on our show before.
Probably.
But
it's worth.
It's a good refresher.
Yeah, it's a good refresher. Especially
makes it
not
easy.
a lot of people get into economics often. And I can make and serve 4 singles of kratom an hour.
God, your kratom making skills are so bad.
But if you go to grassroots, right, he can make 17 singles of kratom an hour, and then he can make 6 shells of kava an hour. And so we can trade, we can trade, and this is all, I can't do it here, but this is all done like in a graph that shows how much we can make and how each other per product. If I stop making kratom that I'm really bad at making, and he stops making the kava that he's really bad at making, I'll go from 15 to 25 shells, and he'll go from 17 to maybe 30 singles of kratom.
Right.
So overall, there would be more kava and kratom on the market because we're both doing what we're good at, rather than both of us just doing the numbers that I already mentioned for each.
Right. I'm going to bring in a whiteboard just for when you start talking about economics.
That would be fun, yeah.
Yeah, and you would get so into that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because one of the things people have been saying about this is, this is really smart. This is like 4D chess. Trump's really smart.
No, it's not.
Yeah. They're like, what Trump's doing here is, there's a lot of things that they say that are really just make absolutely no sense, and I almost lost my train of thought. But they're like, this is really smart. We need to be good at making these things. Ignore any stupid broad statement that anybody makes about anything, because some people have said shit like bettering our economy to be more prosperous, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I understand the words you're saying,
right,
but how does that apply to this tariff on the solar panel?
Right. Like, are American solar panels not doing so well that we need to use this kind of protectionism in order to make sure that American-made solar panels are being purchased?
Exactly.
Like, is it that big of an issue?
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, because of scarcity, people will still buy the American solar panels, which because they do, just not as much as the foreign ones, because they're a lot cheaper, because they have cheaper workforces and just a lot of other things that go into it, currencies and all that. And when these people are like talking about how our economy isn't as strong and we're poorer because we're not making solar panels the same way everybody else does, it makes absolutely no sense. And it goes back to that example you gave from the book, because
robots and Scud missiles.
Yeah, and one thing I was talking to like Nick about, and that I had mentioned on one of the comments on Facebook, we lead the world when it comes to technology. We lead the world because it's Silicon Valley. Especially Europe is not even on the fucking map when it comes to technology. Asia's ahead of Europe when it comes to that stuff. I'm talking like big companies like Tencent in China, which is similar to like Google, like that big of a company. Europe doesn't even have that, and they're not poor because they're not engaging in it. They're not able to compete for a lot of other reasons that don't have to do with this topic. But we're really good at aircraft. We lead when it comes to selling Boeing aircraft across the fucking world. Nobody else is poorer in the world because of the fact that they're not making aircraft as we are. They can slap tariffs on our aircraft that the United States, the companies in the United States makes, and try to entice people to buy their domestic-made shitty aircrafts, but they're going to have less aircraft and they're going to have lower quality aircraft because of it. And that's really what comes with this whole tariffs thing. Is what the tariff does is it's a tax on imported products that the American people or the people in the country that it happens end up paying for. Individual people paying for, not countries. So somebody's buying solar panel equipment for whatever reason. Now they're paying more because of this. Not you, they are. Which is funny because some people are like, "Oh, I'm okay with this." Yeah, because you're not paying for it.
Right.
You're not buying it. You're not seeing what it's doing. That's the problem. Is they don't understand what tariffs do. And you can get in these tariff wars, like you mentioned. Somebody could be like, because they're not as economically literate either, and they'll slap tariffs on us for something, which would be a mistake. I mean, even if somebody, puts a tariffs on their solar panels, if they're getting something cheaper from us, they should not try to tariff war it out because they'll just make things worse for individual people over there.
Right.
So everyone's been getting this tariff thing down wrong, and excuse me.
But so okay, when
I don't remember which washing machine company,
I don't know,
big one, has had to raise its prices now because of this.
I think it was it Samsung?
Or maybe it was Samsung. Oh, Samsung makes washing machines?
Samsung makes everything.
Probably Samsung. I had Whirlpool in my head, but I think they're American.
Yeah, I think they're definitely American.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with the border wall, which is also a huge subject right now, with the border wall, during the campaign, Trump said, "I'm going to make Mexico pay for it." Anybody who knew, well, how he was going to do it, he was going to do it through tariffs, and he was going to do it by saying, "We're going to put tariffs on these Mexican-made goods coming into the country, and they're going to be paying for it." Which, no, they're not. You're going to be paying for it. Yeah. Because that price is just going to be thrown to the people who are bringing it here. Yeah. And then it's going to go on to you. So, I mean, yeah, Mexico's paying for it because it's a tariff that we put on it, but that price is just being pushed to the consumer. Exactly. So, yeah, throwing tariffs on anything it's not free it's not free market. No. It is definitely not free market, and what it does is it creates people making a lower quality product. Mm-hmm. Because what other option? Exactly. Because what other option is there? Not as much in this case, because now we're just forcing people to buy more American, which they're already going to buy American because of the problem of scarcity. There's not enough of it. And all you did now is you just made the foreign stuff a bit more expensive. And the biggest problem here, really, that I haven't talked about yet, so here's the biggest problem with all of this, is at the end of the day, everybody now has less money that engages in this sector of the market.
everybody now has less money to spend on other stuff.
Right.
So you slap a tariff on solar panels that and I'm making numbers up here because I've never bought solar panels that have been in that industry, but buying a solar panel from China that costs you like $500 before the tariff, and it now costs you 330 times 5, hit 150, $650. Now you have $150 less
Right.
that you could be buying something else with. You could either be putting it in a bank, and the bank could be using that money to lend out for somebody to start a business or buy a home. You could be using that $150 to buy a camera that camera makes a job for somebody.
You could even use that $150 to buy me groceries.
Yeah, exactly. So no, you're hurting people, and people are overall going to have less money, less disposable income because now they're paying a lot more for it. Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. And one of the things people had said was, this is somehow going to encourage more American solar production, which is nowhere near being a fact, and there is no way for that even to make any sense.
Right.
How does a tariff on a foreign country incentivize Americans to make more tariffs? No.
To make more tariffs or to make solar panels?
To make more solar panels. It doesn't work like that.
No, if anything, it's like, oh, well, we've already got the protection on the solar panels we're making. And since people are already going to be paying the excess money for those solar panels, we can jack up our prices for an inferior product.
Exactly. Tariffs are not good, and the people that are saying it's a good thing absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. And I'll tell them that to their face.
So that's fair.
With respect.
With all the respect. He won't call you an idiot or anything. I want to throw this in on this topic.
Okay.
I think we can make those two work together.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So on CNN, it was CNN, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So on CNN this week, there was an article written about how cuckolding can be good for people's relationships.
Yeah, for couples relationships.
For those of you who don't know, I mean, I'm certain all of you do.
Yeah.
If you're watching us, I'm almost guaranteed that you've called somebody a cuck at some point. A cuckold is somebody whose significant other is cheating on them. And it is a word that was created by
the alt-right, I guess?
William Shakespeare.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they just use it.
Yeah, they just use it. William Shakespeare created it. And it was meant as an insult for somebody being less masculine than somebody else.
Oh, okay.
And it was somebody whose significant other is cheating on them, and it sort of has morphed into somebody who enjoys watching their significant other cheat on them. But that is what a cuck is. But now a lot of articles are being written, and it's about how cuckolding could be. It's just such a fun word to say.
Yeah,
cuckolding could be good for relationships. That would not be good for my relationships.
No. And here's the thing: in that article, the author took a study that was limited in scope and inapplicable to what he wrote, because the study was about they did a study on 660 gay men, and obviously there's no problem there. That study then applies to the gay community, but this author was applying it to all couples.
All couples, yeah.
And I was like, no, that's not how that works. You took a study on gay couples and you're applying it to everybody. So I don't know if, and even then, it wouldn't even apply to all gay couples either. But yeah, that's what this guy was doing, and I was like, no, hell no, this is nasty, this is disgusting. And
I mean, in all fairness, okay, so I don't care if, and I'm certain you don't either.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't care if you get your rocks off by watching your significant other have sex with somebody else. Don't care. Like, that's on you, 100%. But, like, for me, it's not something that I'm ever going to want to see. Because, in every... God, I hope my mom's not watching this one. In every relationship, the threesome conversation always comes up. In every relationship I've ever had.
Yeah.
Every single one, it's like, well, what do you think? What if we brought somebody, blah, blah, blah. And every time the answer has been the exact same. It's like, well, I would not want to, and this is from her perspective and my perspective. It's always been, I would not want to see you doing that with somebody else. Yeah. And I 100% agree with it. And I'm like, that's why I've always been like, no, I don't ever have to have a threesome in my relationships. Yeah. But like, because I don't see myself as a cuck. But so, I mean, the conversation always comes up, and it's always been just mutually agreed upon that I don't want to see you doing that with somebody else, and I don't want to think about you doing that with somebody else. Yeah. So that, I mean, I don't see how it would be good for most relationships.
I don't know. And, some of my friends, some left, some right, in a libertarian fashion, were even, saying stuff like, oh, why do you care? And they're saying, like, why do you care? And this doesn't affect you and stuff like that. And no, it doesn't. You're right. I don't think it doesn't affect me. And I don't plan on writing my legislator to ask him to ban it. So... and we talked about this on the show, but here we go again. It's this concept, I really hate it, where people think you shouldn't talk about something because it doesn't affect you or something. And I'm like, right. No, it should be fine. It's okay. It's definitely okay for me, to judge. That was the word that brought up being judgmental. And I was like, look, you have to risk offending somebody and judging somebody when you engage in any kind of conversation, especially something on like this topic. I'm not talking movies. We're talking cats versus dogs. We're talking, social stuff. You risk offending people, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with offending people.
No, every conversation that you get into, there's the risk of having to offend. That you may offend somebody. Yeah. 100%. But that is also where the freedom of speech comes in. Sorry, I have a right to say this, even if it does offend you. I don't care. Yeah.
And, if I say I don't like that, you're judging me, too. You're judging me, my person, my personality, my knowledge, and what I'm saying. So we're all being judgmental if we're talking about something. I don't agree with this judgmental tactic of, well, you're just being judgmental. You're, closed-minded. No, I'm not. Right. I get what it's saying, and I don't agree with it. And I'm going to say why I don't agree with it, and I'm going to tell people why they shouldn't entertain the concept that this article is saying. Right. That's it. That's all it is. And then they can listen to me or not, because I'm just some guy. I'm just some guy, really. And that's really what it comes down to. I'm just going to be like, yeah, I don't like open relationships. I don't. I don't like cuckolding. And it's okay to say that. It's social pressure. And it's a form of social pressure, whatever I'm able to exert as a person anyways. It's my social pressure. It's whatever, whatever level people may respect me or whatever at, or, the person, really. I'm just using myself as an example. I get it. Me saying, I don't like this, and it's social pressure. And social pressure is good. That social pressure is why you don't see racists being racist and open, or posting hateful shit. because it's like not socially acceptable to be that. There's no law against it because some do say racist shit, and we call them out for it. But social pressure is good. It's the opposite of the progressive style social engineering of forcing social change. That is wrong. You know, like legislating morality is wrong.
Right.
Social pressure is not, because it can either work or it doesn't. Because if I'm wrong, and it turns out at the end of the day that open relationships are actually okay or whatever, and the rest of the society agrees with it, then I'm wrong. You know, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, going back a little bit to the risk offending people stuff. So the Women's March was last week. I kind of wanted to talk about this last week, but we were talking with our good friend Yehuda, and we never really made it around to this. But the Women's March was last week, and you know, a lot of the people that were out there for the march, I feel as though they want protection from being offended. And you can't get protection from being offended because so many things can offend anybody.
Yeah.
It's being offended is something that falls on yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't fall on the person that's saying it. Yeah, if you know a person well enough, you can say things that will hurt them intentionally, but it really does lie on the person who is listening in order to be offended or not be offended.
Yeah.
And I mean, another thing that they're all, you know, they talk about how they want like equality.
Yeah.
And they're going after equality and, you know, the pay gap, which is a complete fabrication,
yes,
as we've all seen. And I think Jordan Peterson talked about that in that interview that went viral.
Yeah.
Which, did you watch that?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
yeah.
it was so good.
Multiple times.
Yeah, it was so good. He handled that so incredibly well.
Yeah.
But so there something has been brought to my attention on equality for women that actually nobody's talked about, and it's really something that we need to do something about, I feel. The pockets in women's clothing is just way too small. It's like the size of like the jean pocket that's like right here. And if we could get women's pockets to be equal size to men's pockets, every guy with a girlfriend will, one, be happy.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. And two, women just seem like they would be a lot happier being able to put their hands in their pockets.
Yeah, it's fun standing with hands in pockets.
It really is.
You know, standing up against a wall.
It really is.
Drinking
like
kava.
if we're gonna go out on a limb for inequality worth fighting for in this day and age, because I feel as though pretty much everything else is equal across the board. I mean, that's the way that I see it, and yeah, you can say it's my privilege, but I mean, whatever. That's the way that I see it. I do think that we live in a time in history in which so much is equal, except for women's pockets, and I really think that we need to focus on that.
Yeah,
and that little bit was a gift for a friend of mine.
Okay.
Who asked me to talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Leah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the little pockets in the jeans were to hold pocket watches.
Yeah. It's the fifth pocket, overlooked since 1876.
Yeah.
That's where I used to hide the drug that I always had on me at all times. Yeah. It was always in that pocket. And how I never got caught, well, besides that time, how I never got caught is beyond me. So
yeah, I ignored the women's march. I didn't
really
care.
watch any of it. I just wanted to talk about
women's pockets. No worries. Yeah,
unequal.
I ignored it. I don't consider it a women's march, so
right.
It's really an anti-Trump march.
Did you?
And that's fine. It's fine to be an anti-Trump march, 100%. But it's not really a women's march.
Did you see his tweet that day?
No.
Oh my God, he is king troll.
Oh really? What'd he do?
He was like, it's a beautiful day for all the women to go out there and like voice their free speech, and like he like boosted it. It was just like, oh my God, man. It was. I was like, wow.
My friend shared this article here
I saw
by
it.
Vox.
Yeah, I saw that.
Women's March. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, Women's March expected to be the largest gathering of people with disabilities in U.S. history. It's an actual article written by Vox.
I mean, that's cool. I know what they were saying, but it's still really funny when you read it like that, and it's like, well, yeah,
So stupid. So incredible.
we know they have disabilities.
Right. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Topic of Trump. There was that CBS report that he wanted to fire Mueller, and forget his first name. McGahn was gonna retire? Not retire. Yeah, he was going to resign over it and all that. And everybody was like, "Yeah, see, Trump wanted to fire Mueller, and he's at risk of being removed and being forget what it's called. It's a word that I've heard on Law and Order and other police shows. It has to do with like stopping an investigation, whatever that's called. Obstruction.
What? Obstruction of justice?
Yes. Yeah. Obstruction of justice, and it turns out that report came out yesterday to be absolutely false. Reported on false anyways.
Well, that's going to get nominated for the 2018 Fakies.
Yeah. Yep. Well, it turns out that he had mentioned that he was in favor of it, and that was the end of it. And it turns out that McGahn had mentioned that he wanted to resign just because of his overall disagreements with Trump, not because of the firing.
Not because of the potential firing
that obviously turns out to have never been the case. So, just like last week's, there's this week's fake story. You know?
Yeah. Which, I mean, there's so many of them that come out every...
I mean, look, we just spent half the show attacking Trump on the tariffs and all that. Find the right things to attack Trump on. Don't fucking make shit up.
You don't have to make it up. It's easy if you look at the right things.
Mm-hmm.
It is super easy. But yeah. Yeah, I really don't have much. Like this rain. Okay, so if you guys don't know, it's like... It's been raining all day here in Florida. Yeah. And it is making me not, like... want to do anything.
Yeah, same here.
I'm just like, whatever. Let's just keep talking, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it for today anyways.
Yeah, that is it for today. Do you have anything else?
I'm good.
You're good? Got a joke?
No?
Okay. All right. I spent most of my morning watching Norm Macdonald on clips on YouTube.
Oh.
And that dude, he's the best stand-up of all time. That guy's funny. All right, so once again, let's thank Low Tide Kava Bar.
Thank you, Low Tide.
I did awful this week. I drank like just slightly over half.
Yeah.
All right, Bula. So remember, you can find us on the web at www.muddiedwatersoffreedom.com. I'll be posting a new article on there today.
Cool.
I think. I'll probably put it out tomorrow morning. But new article will be up there. You can listen to this and every other episode there through SoundCloud. You can also find us on like the podcast apps, all of them, I think, at this point, except for like one. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom, or on Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom, or you can follow our very bizarre Twitter account because it never really gets any love at Muddied_Waters. We will be back next week for a pre-Super Bowl party.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what we're going to talk about. It's just going to be the day before the Super Bowl. And
remember where we're going?
We don't. You need to turn the music volume back up before I finish that sentence. We don't need roads.